Holy shit. Pikachu made this? His ass cannot code. He does not have thumbs. Anyways, this is your pretty standard FNAF fan game, having you monitor your cameras for Pokemon coming to attack you. You can play sounds to scare the Pokemon away from your office, but don't sit on the cameras for too long. Jigglypuff will get you. See, there's Jigglypuff right there being evil and scary. Add her to the list. Now, all 12 original Smash 64 characters are out of the way. And Dark Sims, I guess. But the most terrifying thing is yet to come. Because as we move into the characters from Melee, we have to talk about something truly scary. Fire Emblem characters. I'm not even a Fire Emblem hater. If anything, I'm a Xenoblade hater. Starting off our Melee roster, we have Princess Peach. Being a Mario character, she automatically has like a 90% chance of having a over hit. And lo and behold, she has multiple. She is killed off in quite a few random games, but she has more prominent roles in other roles. One questionable example is Peach.exe, made by Albert Games. This is a creepypasta game so bad that it is absolutely incredible. Peach is playable in the last level of Mario Princesses, but we'll get to that when at the end, there's also the child, and then an image of a child is a jump scare. Alright, got it. My favorite Princess Peach horror game is without a doubt Another Princesses in our episode made by CM9 Animation. This is a Super Mario 64 themed horror game that I am a huge fan. Basically, the premise is that you, Mario, have to go to this castle and collect the souls of enemies from 64. Kinda like Slime. You're not alone. That's a little, these little toads out underground. And of course, Peach. Well, it's not exactly Peach, but it's like scary ghost Peach, but hey, it counts. Anyways, I talked about this in my first Mario video, so go check that out for an in-depth review of this game. Princess Toadstool has a horror. Okay, Daisy is super easy. Literally just talked about a game. Peach.exe. Portion when you play as Daisy has you wandering around what appears to be a school, and then scary music starts to play while crying. Heart monitor starts playing. I was laughing so hard. Now, Pi does a heart rate monitor. Anyways, Daisy goes into the as a category. Bowser's up next, and you best believe as horror games. When I began research, two games came and both of them are, everybody say it with me now, the first one is called Bowser.exe, which is by Tarkan in a like vending machine, you are about to God mom. Plays Mario going through the classic Super Mario until you eventually come across this strange. That's when Big Goop himself makes an appearance and attacks you. He also proceeds to kill Peach and then kill you, all while using his iconic green ink from the game. Remember the green ink? It was everywhere. Mario Galaxy, that was a crazy one. It's an alright game, it just has a cool aesthetic. I do love green ink. The other Bowser horror game is called King Slaughter by Night Akio. And goddamn, that's a metal name. Probably my favorite part of the game was the title. Anyways, the game involves you playing as Luigi, Toad, and Peach, all trying to survive the crazy Bowser monster. They don't succeed, by the way. The sprites in this game are also pretty nice, I can't lie. Things about this game that are silly though, like this typo where Bowser says he's healing, and this jump scare that was clearly meant for the YouTuber Luigi Kid. I don't know. Anyways, Bowser makes his way onto the Has a Horror. Now, with Ice Climbers, do you really think the Ice Climbers, the characters who had one game back on the NES in the 80s, is going to have a single fan cave made about it? What if I told you I had one of the best horror games on this list? Frozen Inferno, an Ice Climbers horror game, was made by White Boy, and is honestly one of the coolest EXE games I think I've ever played. You play as Nana, the pink ice climber, and you have to make your way up this frozen mountain. After being attacked by a disfigured Popo, the blue ice climber, you're left to climb an even more challenging mountain. This is where you actually have to play a game. Like I said, I love when EXE games have actual falling platforms, snow monsters, grabby hands. This game has it all. It's fairly short, only taking me like 10 minutes to beat, but I'd say it's quite worth your time. I won't spoil the ending because it's honestly pretty sick. I say you go and check this one out for yourself. Anyways, the Ice Climbers somehow have a horror. Sheik's up next, and until I started this video, I had no that they were only in Ocarina of Time. I thought that she was just a normal reoccurring character, but no, guess not. This just goes to show how clueless I am about The Legend of Zelda. Anyways, unless you want to count them as Zelda, they do not have any horror games under their belt. Moving on. Now, Zelda, on the other hand, surprisingly doesn't have many. In fact, after literal hours of straight research, I was only able to find proof of one horror game featuring Zelda, called Alone.exe. She isn't even playable, she's just one of the enemies that attacks you when you play as Link. Now, I was really debating on whether or not to count this as her appearing in a horror game, but considering that this game looks relatively short, I'll just consider her one of the main antagonists. However, the issue is that Alone.exe just doesn't exist anymore. The only proof of its existence I could find was a couple YouTube videos. So, Zelda is the first one on the list to enter the category of had a horror game, but it's no longer available. Up next, we've got Dr. Mario, the character that made me ask for Melee for my birthday when I was 6. Anyways, I knew going into this video that he actually does have a horror game. This is where our old pal Randy Becker comes back into play with Dr. Mario.exe. This game is an interesting one, having you scour the dark hospital of Dr. Mario. Hijinks ensue after this, such as being chased by a virus, having a giant Dr. Mario head float towards you, and having the Doctor himself jump scare you. It's a visually nice game, but also kind of silly at the same time. Anyways, MD Mario is confirmed to have a horror game. Pichu was a pretty annoying one to look for. Besides this one person on GameJolt who continuously makes Pichu themed horror games on Scratch, keep it up by the way, I really couldn't find anything. GameJolt, itch.io, YouTube videos, just searching Pichu.exe, it was all barren and I was losing hope. This is where I developed my technique. The ability where I look at FNAF fan games, and sure enough, there's Pichu. Five Nights at Pikachu's 2 The Escape, made by X-Worry. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This is a very stressful FNAF fan game where you have to house sit and then be attacked by a bunch of being animals. Now, I will be honest, this was like the last game I played for this video, and I was pretty burnt out by that point, so I didn't play this one all the way through to get to Pichu, but here's video proof of him being in the game. Awesome. Pichu is a confirmed horror game participant. Falco's up next, and I've got some bad news for all the Mordecai fans out there. He doesn't have one. He wasn't in StarFox.exe beyond the title screen. He doesn't have any other features in horror games. No. He was in this SNES ROM hack of Star Fox that featured the entire Star Fox crew pretty prominently, but that's about it. There's next to no Star Fox fan games out there, let alone horror ones. Damn, the Star Fox neglect from Nintendo got so bad that fan games. With that, Falco falls into the doesn't have a horror game category. Marth. The first Fire Emblem rep is up next, and I'll just tell you now, I had zero faith that I'd find Fire Emblem horror games. But surprisingly, Marth managed to squeak his way into one with the game called Fire Emblem Shadows Dragon Rearmed, aka Marth.exe, created by Briber. This was originally made for April Fool's Day, but I'm fairly certain it wasn't a joke game, so it counts. Anyways, booting up this game, it really was terrifying because it made me actually want to play Fire Emblem. If I told you this was my first ever Fire Emblem game. Anyways, after fighting the enemies for a little bit, everybody disappears except for Marth. Marth then, screams and disappears, and then you play as this one dude who now has to run from Marth. I know jack shit about Fire Emblem, so I'm sorry if I don't know any names. Anyways, Marth's evil now and is on the attack. This game actually has a boss fight, multiple endings, and a strangely nice picture of Marth.exe. I think it's something about the red hair with the gray skin that just makes the character design look really nice. There's potential here, hear me out. Anyways, to save both you and me some precious time, this was the only Fire Emblem horror game that I was able to find. So, what that means is that any Fire Emblem character from here on out is likely 100% on the no horror game list. Sorry about that. Marth breaks off from the Swordsman family members, however, and has his own horror game. Alright, well, I just got done explaining Fire Emblem reps, so really, what do you think Lucina falls into? She's got nothing. Next, we've got Young Link, and this is specifically the Young Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. No using the previously mentioned horror games that counted for Adult Link, that's a different character. Thankfully, I already briefly mentioned one horror game that includes this version of Link, titled Remember.exe, made by, I believe, San Kirby Moyer? This game was taken down a while ago, so it was hard to find the OG computer. If I'm wrong here, please correct me in the comments. However, this does not fall into the unavailable category because you can still play re-uploads to this day. This was a creepy short horror game based on the Ben Drown creepypasta, where you wander around for a bit, fight against the happy mask salesman, Majora's Mask, get crushed by a moon, etc. This game also apparently can restart your PC. It didn't happen to me for some reason, but I've seen it happen to others who play this one, so if you do decide to play this on your own time, have caution. Now, you might be able to make the argument that you're playing as young Link, since this is based on Majora's Mask, but he also just straight up appears a few times throughout the game. He's dead, but I mean, he's there. Now, since the original Ben Drown story and ARG centered pretty heavily around young Link, I think it's fair to say that young Link played a big enough part in this game to count, going by my rules. I may be stretching a little bit for this one, but oh well, what are you gonna do about it? Young Link joins his older counterpart on the horror game list. Still on Zelda characters, we've got Ganondorf up next. Now, even if I were to consider every iteration of Ganon, I honestly couldn't find anything. Now, once again, I could just be ass at researching franchises I know nothing about, but I swear I did everything I could. However, while I couldn't find any game downloads, going back to the horror game Zelda was in Alone.exe, Ganondorf is actually featured in that game too. He's not playable for an antagonist, but he's shown towards the last part of the game dead, and the end of the game is a pretty big point of it. Good enough for me. Ganondorf goes into the no longer available category. The ultimate life form, not that one. The ultimate life form, Mewtwo, is up next, and you best believe it's in a FNAF fan game. My tactic for difficult characters after Pichu was just to go through FNAF, so Mewtwo was an absolute breeze. He's a main antagonist in both Five Nights at Team Rocket HQ Recoded and Five Nights at Team Flare HQ, where he just kinda sits in a tube and will attack you at some point. I played both of these a hefty amount, and I wasn't able to get into attacking, but hey, here's some footage of him doing so. My GOAT Mewtwo makes it into the as a horror game category. Up next is Roy, and sadly, he suffers from the Fire Emblem curse and does not have a horror game. He was one of my favorites to play in Smash Wii U, though. Stand proud, Roy. We're strong. If Roy didn't have one, Chrom sure as hell doesn't have one. Chrom just immediately joins his better half, and that doesn't have a horror game category. I'd say this is a great time to remind you to use code PODBUB for 10% off at GamerSubs. Go get yourself a tub or shaker cup today. It's what Chrom would have wanted. So, Mr. Game & Watch is next on the list, and he was kinda tricky to search for. Do I count the character himself? Do I count any instances of a Game & Watch character in a horror game? Because technically, Mr. Game & Watch is a Smash original. He's just kind of an amalgamation of Game & Watch. For the sake of fairness and keeping things simple, I decided only to count the character himself. Even without counting only the character, Mr. Game & Watch was not featured in any horror games. I did find this one Game & Watch inspired horror game on Steam though, called Summer Night, made by Ganondorf, the same creator behind Fate. Honestly, this may be one of my favorites I've played so far. It's
Hey man, we bad that Sierra plays that.
Kinda creepy. Go check it out on Steam or itch.io if you have the time. Ending out our melee reps, Mr. Game & Watch does not have a horror game. Now we move on to the characters from Brawl, and this one was kind of a mixed bag for me, because like on one hand you have more obscure characters like Pit or Rob the Robot, but on the other hand you have people like Sonic the Hedgehog, which like, let's be real, what Sonic character doesn't have a horror game at this point? Starting off our Brawl journey is one of my favorites, Meta Knight. Now, originally, I had him down as no horror game, but while I was writing this script, I was actually able to find a single one including him. Yes, I had to go with the FNAF fan game route. Don't hate me, because I'm a genius. Nightmares with Meta Knight, or Meta Nightmares, was made by the Kirby Genius, and is actually a fan game of a fan game. This was apparently based on the third Five Nights at Wario's game. Okay, spoilers for Wario, he has one. But a fan game of a fan game based on this guy is just awesome. Anyways, this game's just a demo, but thankfully Meta Knight attacks on the first night, trying to get into this living room area. Meta Knight joins the ranks of a horror game pattern. Next we've got who surprisingly has an appearance or two in some horror games. Most of them are major enough to actually count, except for one. Kid Icarus.exe, made by Nicola Duran, is a super short and super not good EXE game where you play as Pit, walk to the right for a bit, see Politana dead, see Politana dead, and then the game pretty much ends after that. No joke, this game is like less than 2 minutes long, but I mean, hey, I never said the games had to be scary or good. I am glad that this game exists though, because it does give Pit a horror game. Okay, where's the doubt? Okay, this game unfortunately isn't anywhere online. I even asked the Luigi Kid himself, but no, this game seems to be lost to time. Pit has a horror game alright, it's just no longer available. My Smash Ultimate mate, Dark Pit, is up next. Now, this one is a really weird scenario, because he does have a horror game, but I'm not sure if it goes against the rules. Five Nights at Dark Pit was made by the Kirby Genius, the same creator behind the Meta Knight. Now, this game does take place on Politana's temple, and features Dark Pit as the main antagonist, but there is a hefty amount of Smash Bros. Influence here. The other antagonists are all Smash Bros. Characters, including obscure ones like Lucina and Rob, and the description itself even says it's influenced by Smash Bros. So this might violate the No Smasher. A pretty tough decision, but how about this? I will count this game for Dark Pit, but none of the other characters at the beginning. This means Lucina and Rob have nothing. I think it's just focused enough on Kid Icarus to count, but only Dark Pit's getting the point here. Dark Pit very barely has his own horror. Now, Zero Suit Samus technically is in the previously mentioned Metroid horror games. I mean, she's there in that Dark Suit right there, surely that counts, you silly goose, go away. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to pull a fast one like that. Just like Dark Samus, Zero Suit Samus does not appear in any horror games. Now, my boy Wario, on the other hand, has quite a few horror games under his belt. Now, like I said earlier, being a Mario character pretty much guarantees you at least one, but not for his biker uniform, sadly, but we still count on Mario. And in my mind, no other horror game represents Wario more than Five Nights at Mario's, made by Mario. This is an ongoing series of FNAF fan games featuring Wario in the game, and I loved this series back when it hit. Just going over the first game briefly, you basically have to survive in a factory haunted by Wario, Waluigi, Mario, Luigi, and Peach. Wario is the head guru here though, so with that being said, Wario indeed has a horror game. The first third-party character on the list, Snake, is up next. Now, even if we didn't specifically use Solid Snake, I couldn't find a single Metal Snake joins the no horror game. Ike suffers from the same curse as the other Fire Emblem characters, and if Path of Radiance wasn't $1 zillion on eBay, he'd be more popular. He does have a cool design though. Ike goes into the no horror game category. Okay, Pokemon Trainer is weird because there are like 4 characters. You have Charizard, Squirtle, Ivysaur, and the trainer himself. I'll just rapid fire through all 4 and say who does and doesn't have a horror game. Charizard is featured in the creepypasta game Snow on Mount Silver, made by Andy M. You could battle him in this game, but he looks like he's seen better days. You can also battle a version of Charizard in the previously mentioned horror game Pokemon. He also looks like he's seen better days there too. The guy did not get it. Ivysaur's up next, and yeah, he has nothing. Not even the Five Nights at Freddy's method worked for him. Squirtle also has nothing, unless you want to count this Scratch FNAF game that I found where he can attack you on night 1. Now, I would love to count this, but even though it is a separate executable file, I did say no Scratch, and this is Scratch. I already bent the rules kinda heavily for Dark Pit, so I don't want to get too silly with the rules here. Squirtle is a no-go. Last but not least is Pokemon Trainer, whose base costume is based on the Trainer Red from the original games. But he does also have many alts of the other male and female trainers from past games. There are a couple horror games that have these trainers featured prominently. Pokemon Curse Forever and Uka Keep that were mentioned earlier have you play as Red, while the creepypasta games Lost Silver and Snow on Mount Silver have you playing as the trainer Gold, who's also represented through alt. Either way, 2 out of the 4 characters that are a part of Pokemon Trainer do have a horror game. Diddy Kong is up next, and while he doesn't appear in any of the Donkey Kong horror games previously mentioned, he does make an appearance in the game DK Hotel, made by Fire TTM. This game has you playing as a janitor at the prestigious Donkey Kong Hotel, I'm sorry, Donkey Kong is a hotel chain? Imagine being conceived in the King Hotel. Anyways, you just have to survive while cleaning, and one of the people who can attack you is none other than Diddy Kong. This was a pretty silly game that I kind of enjoyed my time with. Diddy Kong joins the ranks of having a horror game. Lucas is basically the same Otis Ness. He's got no appearances in the horror game. I really tried to find anything Mother or Earthbound related, but I just couldn't find anything. Not even a Duster.exe? Come on, Angel, step up your game. Now's the time all of you Toadwell fans have been waiting for. Let's talk about the blue, bloody bastard. Okay, do I even, have to say anything for this guy? Sonic the Hedgehog has horror games. So many horror games that people have been able to talk about his horror games for the past decade, non-stop. Hell, he probably has more than Mario does. I really wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, you've got Sonic.exe, the classic creepypasta game from the early 2010s by Mist Crimson, based on the shitty story by the same name. Rather than just talk about the OG Sonic.exe, I'm gonna take the time to rattle off a few Sonic horror games that I'm actually a big fan of. Sonic 2011 is a remake of Sonic.exe made by Joe Doughboy. It's basically just Sonic.exe, but better. Green Mountain was a mysterious Sonic horror game where you climb a mountain and fight a Sonic monster. Great stuff. Depraved Hedgehog was yet another Sonic EXE game made by Lahar, which has some of the most insane fourth wall breaks and some amazing art. It literally will print out a picture. What other game does that? El Pendrive Azul is a game based on the story of the same name made by Vibing. It's a short, haunted Sonic game, but with some cool-ass visuals and a concerning amount of flashing lights. Lastly, it's one of my favorite EXE games out there, Sonic.eyx, made by Kamo16 and Cloud. It's a reimagining of the Sonic EXE character in a creepy, gory, and great Sonic horror game. I recommend you check out all the games mentioned, but prepare for fourth wall breaks, flashing lights, and pieces of shit. Sonic gets his own rank above the others, just call it Sonic.exe, I guess. Now, King Dedede was in a game mentioned earlier in the list. In the game Dreamland.exe, you actually have to play as Dedede after evil Kirby eats and absorbs him. You gotta walk through these gross Kirby meat tunnels until you're attacked and killed. King Dedede goes on to the horror game heaven. Alamar's up next, and I've actually recently been playing through Pikmin 1 for the first time, so I guess you could say I'm somewhat of an expert now. There wasn't much for Pikmin horror games, and honestly, I thought I was going to have to throw in the towel. That was until I found this game called Slender Loop by Star_Sean. This was a short Slender-like game where you have to collect items and avoid Louie from Pikmin 2. Now, there's no models or actual visuals indicating that it's him, but according to the game and the Game Jolt page, you are playing as Olimar, so we have Olimar is confirmed to be in a horror game. Okay, this one actually kinda surprised me. Lucario doesn't seem to appear in any horror games out there. I would have put money on it being a FNAF fan game. Come on, just slap him over Foxy. Lucario, as far as I'm aware, has got nothing. Rob the Robot, being an obscure boy from the 80s, has pretty much nothing when it comes to video game appearances. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem as demonstrated by the Ice Climbers, but unless you want to count as a Five Nights at Dark Pit, which I'm not, he's got no horror games. Toon Link, the last Zelda rep from Smash, is up next. Legend of Zelda horror games are already pretty difficult to find, let alone one in Toon style. Nothing based on Minish Cap or Wind Waker or anything, Toon Link's got next to nothing. He barely scrapes his way out of 0 horror games with the game Five Nights at Hyrule, made by Pizza Dinosaur 15. Five Nights at Hyrule is a demo for a Zelda-themed attack game featuring different links to attack you. And if you look real close, you can see that one of these Shadow Links is indeed Toon. Unfortunately for the little fella, this game is no longer available for download, meaning that Toon Link did have a horror game, but it's no longer available. Finishing up our Brawl characters, we've got one of the Star Fox characters. Like I said earlier with Fox, he was the only one to make an appearance in StarFox.exe, and there was next to nothing for Star Fox horror games, and that sadly means bad news for our Wolfie character. Wolfie does not make any appearances in a horror game, and with that we are officially over halfway through. characters. Now, I know this is a long-ass video, but don't worry, because the speed's gonna kind of pick up from here. Because going into Smash for Wii U and 3DS, some of the characters are a lot more obscure, and some of the characters are newer, which honestly made things a little bit harder to research. But if you really thought that Robin was going to have a horror game, you might want to sit down for this one. Beginning our plunge into the Smash for Wii U and 3DS roster, we've got the Villager. Remember all those evil Villager memes from back when he was announced? It was like Killager or something? That was a strange time. It seemed to pay off for him though, because not only are there Animal Crossing horror games, but this specific villager from City Folk was the one featured multiple times. First up is a super short EXE game, expertly titled Animal Crossing.exe, made by Bones the Pasta Hunter. You play as the villager, go into the woods to meet up with KK Slider, get knocked over by KK Slider, and turn evil, kill Isabelle, game over, I feel hollow. There's also Five Nights at Villagers by Jayla Riley, yet another Five Nights at Freddy's. I could have literally just made this about FNAF fan games instead of horror games, and I think I would have just been fine. It's FNAF with the villager from City Folk. Look, there he is, right there. That's him. Yep. Villager appears in his fair share of horror games. Mega Man, being an icon of gaming, is less prominent in the horror world than you might expect. That didn't stop him from procuring some good old EXE games, though. Mega Man.exe, made by Alfonso Brito, is the return-to-form EXE game. A walking simulator with random jump scares. Not only that, but a haunted Mega Man with bloody eyes tries to kill you. Doesn't get better than this, folks. You want my opinion on how to improve an experience like this? For one, get rid of the jump scares that have nothing to do with Mega Man, and also just throw some gameplay in there. Something like some simple platforming or enemies really goes a long way. There was also this kind of neat Mega Man X horror game called The Red Cartridge, made by Not So Davey. It's technically not the correct Mega Man, but it's still kinda neat. Mega Man is confirmed to have his own horror game. Wii Fit Trainer, very surprisingly, does not have a horror game. She's the main character of goddamn Wii Fit. I don't know what you can do with that. Somebody prove me wrong though. I'm begging for a Wii Fit horror game to be made. Make the game like, say you're dying or something. I don't know, that's a cool concept. It's all yours, you can have it. Rosalina and Luma are up next, and we don't count Luma for this, sorry. Now this one was tricky, because I thought I had it in the bag with Rosalina.exe, but be honest, would you consider this a game? Thankfully, Peach.exe, from way at the beginning of the video, comes in clutch here, as Rosalina is the first character you play as. It's a sprite edit of Peach, but you know what, it counts as a horror game for moving on. Little Mac, the bruiser from the Bronx, sadly has not boxed his way into a horror game yet. Although an honorable mention goes to this work-in-progress game called Terrible Terry's Punch-Out, made by Pancake BK. Apparently, Terrible Terry is this crazy EXE character based on Punch-Out, and from what I've read of the creepypasta and like what surrounds the creepypasta, it honestly sounds like a cool concept. Keep it up, BK, be the first ever creator of a Punch-Out horror game. But for now, the Mac goes on the no horror game list. Joining Little Mac in the horror gameless wasteland is Brendan. I really looked for him. Like I said, almost every somewhat popular Pokemon is in a FNAF fan game, but guess not this guy. Moving on. Mii Fighter is up next, and this one is a bit tricky. Mii Fighters are just different ways to play as your Mii. It's not those Mii specifically, so I will count any horror games that feature the Mii's prominently, which thankfully I was able to find some. Five Nights at Five Nights at Miiverse is a FNAF fan game made by Valtravel Games featuring them. I honestly couldn't figure this one out. I got jump scared like 4 times and gave up. But I mean, hey, this is a horror game where he's attacking you, so we count it. Palutena is up next, and she's kind of in a horror game. In the previously mentioned Kid Icarus.exe, she's found dead at the end of the game. Now, considering this game is like 2 seconds long and she's like the main scare of the game, I'll count her as having a major enough role in the game. Unfortunately, Kid Icarus.exe is no longer available, putting her in the same category as Pit. Pac-Man, on the other hand, has quite a but sadly, nothing I can find with this Pac-Man world design. Any Pac-Man, it's Pac-Man though, so we run it. Pac-Man is a classic EXE game made by Array. It's titled Pac-Man, but it's like scary text. This is a creepy take on the arcade game, featuring much more limited vision and new ghosts with some nasty abilities. games. This game is honestly really fun and a solid horror experience. I won't go too into depth, but give this one a play if you can. Pac-Man goes into the horror game patterns. No, moving on. Up next is Shulk, and I feel like Xenoblade just doesn't lend itself to EXE games or creepypasta stuff or really anything. I don't know, I just don't see someone being like, oh man, I can't wait to slap red guys on that guy. Never said that was a bad thing, but still. Even with that in mind, I did do some deep research and I came up with nothing. Shulk does not have a horror game under his belt. Okay, so Bowser Jr. was kind of fun. I couldn't find any horror games based on Bowser Jr. from the Mario games, but I did find one based on Bowser Jr. from Super Mario Movie. Bowser Jr.'s existential nightmare was made by Jeffy1_2D31, an immaculate. This is a short horror experience where you play as Bowser Jr., yes, that's him, stuck in his dad's closet. He freaks out when the game starts screaming at you, and then, I know this technically isn't a Mario horror game, but you know what? That's Bowser Jr. It's centered around the Mario characters, I count it. Add them to the as a horror game category. Duck Hunt Dog surprisingly doesn't have anything. I don't know why, but I was totally expecting some random game from 2013 called DuckHunt.exe to exist. Despite this, there is a pretty well-known VR horror game based on Duck Hunt called Duck Season, which unlike most of the games on this list, is actually kind of creepy. So, Duck Hunt Dog might have lost the battle, but he won the war. No horror games for him. Alright, let's make this next part easy. None of the newcomer DLC characters from Wii U had a horror game. Ryu, his Echo Fighter Ken, Cloud, Corrin, and Bayonetta are all without horror games. Are you telling me there's no Ken.exe? What the hell, man? Like I said earlier, as the characters get newer like Bayonetta and Corrin, then they tend to have a lot less horror games or fan games in general. But hold on to your seats because we are almost done as we dive into Smash Ultimate. And also Sand. We're including Sand. Starting the beginning of the end, Inkling is up next. Now, Splatoon was an absolute smash hit, so it's really no surprise to me that at least one horror-themed fan game existed. Squid Proxy, made by Inky Crow, is a slender Splatoon game where you have to play as both the male and the female Inkling. Okay, both of them right there. You have to collect these, diodes, which I don't know, man. Slender gives you the most random shit to collect sometimes. You could be playing a Slender game that'd be like, alright, you're in an old playground and you have to collect vintage microwaves. The antagonist is also an Inkling, I think, but either way, the Inkling makes an appearance in a horror game. Ridley's up next, who's honestly terrifying on his own. Thankfully, he appears as the main antagonist in a game mentioned way at the beginning, titled Super Metroid.exe. He's basically the one hiding in the shadows and killing until you get to the end, coming after Samus and by extension. And that's great and all, but what if there was another Five Nights at Freddy's fan game? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Five Nights at Ridley's by Hyrule Goji 98 is a FNAF fan game about, you guessed it, Ridley. It's okay if you don't like this one though, because there's 3 sequels to try out too. Ridley makes his way onto the horror game category. Alright, I'll just rope them together since I had the exact same issue with Wolf. Simon and Richter from Castlevania were actually difficult characters to decide, because for both of them, I thought I found a candidate. I found these Castlevania fan games that had #horror in the text that featured both of them as playable characters, and I didn't say that as long as the intention was to be scary, it would count. But after playing both of these games, it feels like there was nothing horror related in them. Unless you want to count the enemies being bats and zombies, does that really count as horror? I'm making the judgment call to say no. Richter and Simon do not have horror games. The Kingdom of Gremlins is up next, and thankfully we already know the answer to this. Two games already mentioned in this video. There's an antagonist in the game DK Hotel, and a playable character in Donkey Kong.exe, where he was brutally murdered by the Donkey Kong, my name. King K. Rool officially has a horror game. Not like officially. I don't think Nintendo would approve of this. Then we got Isabelle, who actually does prominently feature in a horror game. She was one of 3 characters featured in that very short Animal Crossing.exe game, and she was also the big scare and big kill of the game. Now, I debated counting this for a while because, like, it's really not a major role, but it's a big enough role relative to the game's size and what the game is, so forget it. Finishing up the onslaught of Pokemon is Incineroar, just like Greninja, it's not featured. I wasn't too surprised by this. He is a relatively new Pokemon, and also my tactic of finding FNAF fan games was starting to falter at this point. Incineroar joins the ranks of those without a horror game. Piranha Plant starts up our list of DLC characters, and believe it or not, a Piranha Plant is actually a major boss battle in a Mario horror game. Super Mario Dolor, made by Ziggity, is one of my favorite Mario horror games. It's this grungy-looking 3D Mario fan game that seems pretty cool for a bit, and then it's all good and scary. First big boss fight of the game is a Piranha Plant, both a normal and a scary one. So yes, the plant has a feature in all. Now we move into the DLC characters from Smash Ultimate, and I'll be honest, most of them don't have a horror game. So to save on time, I'm just going to talk about the ones that do, and skip over the rest of them instead of just going, no, 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 no. Now, out of all 11 DLC characters, Joker, all versions of Hero, Terry, Violet, Min, Pyra, Mithra, Kazuya, and Sora all fall into the no horror game category. That leaves us with 3 characters remaining, and Sandy's also. First up is Banjo and Kazooie, who do have a horror game, but I was kind of flip-flopping between no and yes, but here's my reason. Banjo.exe, made by Bones the Creepypasta Hunter, is a 3D EXE game based on a creepypasta that they found, and at first, I thought this was kind of a joke game. I saw it in the description, played the goofy Banjo game, and I kind of made peace with my decision of saying no. However, I then read in the files of the game that this was an attempt to make the creepypasta scary? It seems like a horror game to me. The game's a bit goofy, yeah, but I feel like that was kind of the purpose, even if it did want to be scary as well. But even with all of that, I declare Banjo and Kazooie be put into the havers of horror games. Steve from Minecraft is up next, and it's Minecraft. Of course, they have everything under the sun, including horror games. Now, it was a little difficult whittling through mods and maps and other horror Minecraft stuff I knew about, but I did pick out one. Error 422 by Super Metavis is a Minecraft horror game where you play a very glitched out Minecraft. Now, this obviously is just Minecraft, but like with some mod or something put into it. But it was its own download and executable file, and I didn't use Minecraft to run this. So, because of my janky rules, it counts. If you don't think that counts, there's also a craft of mine by Sir Tartarus, which has you playing Minecraft server. There's nothing saying you aren't playing as the Steve skin, but even if you aren't playing as the Steve skin, in Smash Bros. There are multiple skins for Steve. So, you know what? I'm counting it. There you go. And wrapping up the Smash roster that has horror games, Sephiroth prominently features an absolute masterpiece, Sephiroth.exe, made by Just Sharko. Now, this was a similar situation to Dark Pit, where Sephiroth is the main focus, but it included other characters from Smash Bros. However, I'll just do what I did for the Dark Pit game, only Sephiroth gets to count. Sorry, Cloud, you weren't spared for this one. Anyways, this game is unintentionally hilarious. I love hearing Sephiroth's one-liners over and over, as I had to fight him. Great stuff. Sephiroth does appear in a horror game. And because why not, Sans is our last character on the list. He has a Mii Fighter costume and also it's fun. Sans actually has quite a few horror games that he features in, but one of my personal favorites from back in the day was the demo for Horror Tale. This was a point-and-click Undertale horror game where you interacted with both Scary Sans and Scary Papyrus. I always loved how this game played. Sans is confirmed to appear in quite a few horror games. And with that, finally, we can answer the question, how many characters in Smash Bros. Have horror games? Let's look at the stats, shall we? 42 characters have a horror game to their name or made a major enough appearance in a horror game. 40 characters, on the other hand, did not make an appearance in a horror game at all or not major enough of an appearance. 5 characters had a horror game, but it's no longer available or able to be downloaded, and 1 character is Sonic the Hedgehog. My parents must be so proud right now. A parent say their kid knows every single Smash Bros. Character that's in a horror game. My parents do. Now, there is a very real chance that I messed up this list, Maybe I forgot some random EXE game from 2015 about Rob the Robot, so please feel free to correct me or add anything on in the comments. This was definitely the most fun I've had making a video in a while. Just getting to play and research the most random shit I could find on like Gangel and Itch.io was amazing. It also reminds me that literally any character can get a creepypasta game or EXE game or whatever. It may seem like a bunch of horror blood slop to some, but for me, it's super creative and passionate horror slop. I hope this video was somewhat entertaining and gave you an insight into the world of horror fan games, but there's one thing I need to ask of you. Make more horror games of this and right here on yyyy. I'm like,
yeah, well, there's the second fighter. But what's great is that we can now move that back. We can use this fighter to scout now. Yeah, there we go. I figured this bomber would show up. Yeah, this is definitely the time to pop max force, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna pop max force right now. So, yeah, we'll pop it. Deal as much damage as we can. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt. Hoping max force 2 morale boost doesn't feel like right. It's quite a bit of damage. But it is necessary. Okay, so we'll start by attacking his bomber. Or missiles, I think? Okay, so we need... I did it. We have a fighter. We need to destroy... movements to keep this alive. This bomber obviously needs to die. We have a battlecopter. The battlecopter can only attack other battlecopters, so it makes sense to do this. We might be able to kill this with an infantry if we're real high on luck damage, so that... Yeah, I think I'm going to use my missile to attack here. And then let's use an infantry. Like, actually, maybe we should. I need to think here because I really don't want to lose this fighter because I needed to scout. You see, I need to see what's going on. I think I'm actually gonna send it out here because I don't follow here at this point. There we go. 4% damage. That's pretty good. Nice job. And we'll send our bomber out. Let's see if we can kill the infantry. Sorry, the battlecopter. We can't. Fun fact about Max. He gets extra transport range during his max force, which is pretty unusual. Oh, I should have had it theoretical loaded his transport also. But we're doing pretty well so far. I think there's a lot of transports right now. It's good. Let's see where this other... I know he has more air units. But I gotta say, just the existence of that bomber makes this so much easier. Yeah, there's another battlecopter. No missiles, I guess. We got him some truck, that's funny. Oh, that's great. Alright, this is not a big... Most of this transport copter is like a sacrificial unit, so... Alright, so... let's load some more infantry in. Let's start going for the captures. We're just gonna build transport copters now, pretty much. That's all we're gonna do. The units that we have left on our island is not really gonna do a whole lot. Whoosh. We need... I know he has transport copters running about here somewhere. I just don't remember where they are. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we need to scout them. Okay, yeah, so here you can see already, there's the infantry that stop. And just the fact that we have this bomber is so nice. Only you would need to like send a battlecopter up here to get rid of this guy. So that means we bought ourselves like a lot of them. I think though that we will actually do this. Where's the Empire? Oh, it must be still up here, I think. It's okay, I'm just gonna ignore these units for now and just dart past them. There we go. And it's a bit annoying that he still has a fighter running around, but it's so low HP, it's not gonna do anything anyway. And also, like, he's not gonna get another morale boost this mission, he doesn't have enough troops for that. He's just gonna run my transports pretty much. Yeah, it's slightly annoying, but... it's not a big deal. There's the Empire. Ah, where's my transport? That's perfect. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a dead Empire. Okay. Lovely. Okay, I want this mission now. People being absolutely dumb. Wow. Improved AI? Like it. There we go. The Empire is dealt with. Man, this whopper makes this mission so much easier. It's not even funny. It's a little... Oh, shit. It's a little funny. Yeah, I was gonna... I know there's missiles here somewhere. Oh, they're positioning, but I do risk possibly getting my shot down if I'm not careful. Alright, the airport is being captured, and when you look at that little transport copter coming to play, just drop an infantry off here as well. And yeah, we're just gonna keep moving transports. They're pretty much the only unit for us at this point, so... And Combat doesn't have any captured airports on this map, which means that he is never ever ever to produce more transports. Alright, he still has tanks in this tower. Forgot about that. That's okay, I'll just bring more units over. Trying to repair his bomber, I think. No, wait, he can't repair his bomber, he doesn't have any goddamn airports. I still want to kill this unit now, not gonna lie. Let's send the transporters over here. Gotta get this tank on this base. For the city, sorry. Just because I don't want to have a mission, I'm gonna do this. Even if you have my fighter getting shot down, it's not a big deal at this point, because pretty much neutralized combat. In fact, I think I'm going to forgo these and send 2 transport copters up here. And the reason is, I think that will get me a bit of time. Oh, I'm repairing my missiles, so I can't build a transport copter. It's a little blunder, but it's not a big, it shouldn't be a big deal. Oh, hi there. Yo, my fighters!
Yes.
He has nothing. You didn't get another problem. There's the transport. There's the transport, but I think he might have dropped off. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually dropped off an infantry this time, so I need to kill it. Oh, there it is! Oh, wow! Okay, so he did drop it off. That, I'm pretty sure that is his absolutely last transport. He doesn't have any transports after this. So now we have 2 infantry coming over here. Another transport copter. Oh. That's it. Oh, we need to also capture the city down here. So we can't neglect that. That's actually kind of a... So day 7. It will be a day 10, actually, I think. Somehow, I think more actually. Space. In fact, I think something like this situation. Let's probably send a third infantry to this island and capture up the last ones. I need to capture this, and then I need to capture this. Yeah, I'm actually gonna put this so that I can capture. Just bring another unit over here. I think that will be quick, actually. Now, you can go for an HQ cap, but that's kind of complicated. I don't recommend it. You need to... I don't remember the exact positioning, but Combo has a bunch of missiles and fire over this island, which makes it kind of hard to... Now it'll be the bottom here. Alright, so 2 more. It'll be a day 10 victory, basically, which should still be enough rank, I hope. See. He's moving a bunch of his units around on the island, it seems. That's not a name. This is the town. This is the 11. And yeah, it will be a daytime victory. Unless something very strange happens.
何にするのじゃ？銭を貯めたらまた来るのだ
You
ぞ。
almost got Esperantos. Just barely got Esperantos. Though possibly would have gotten it. I've actually tried routing Combine. It takes a while, but it is possible. I'm kind of sad he didn't have a unique dialogue for it. But here we go. Le Catarino 1. Le Catarino 2. And Paper 3, and that was Combine 7. Much easier this time around. Much easier this time. But feels more fair. Feels a lot more fair, honestly. I don't mind this change at all, actually. Like my sword. The horribly useless base standards.
なんだっけ？
I'm sure victory vanished so quickly. Could it mean that the base was in a poor location? Yeah, I'll buy it. It was in a beautiful location. Don't worry about it. Yep, that's an S rank. Alright, the Combine Saga is done, ladies and gentlemen, but we now move on. The Sonia Saga, which is arguably a lot worse.
おお、お主た
It's
ち
pretty
か。
hard. Pretty
よ
hard.
く
Sonia
来
missions
た
are pretty
な。
brutal. On the Lost campaign, you gotta know where she hides all those indirects. She's in. Okay. Father.
何にす
Really
るの
aren't
じゃ？す
possible.
るのじゃ？
You know why you keep losing? It's because you never let me finish giving you strategic advice. I will admit your elite forces don't typically lose, but let's just blame the enemy for being too strong this time. This next battle, I'll take command. Sonia, this is ridiculous. Combat will never allow his daughter to be placed in harm's way. Why, if the unthinkable were to happen?
Mother, you lose.
There's something I need to investigate. For that, I need some first-hand intel. Yes, but, Mother, please calm yourself. Okay, how's this? First son of Major, I have promised to retreat. Does that satisfy your concerns?
う
You must promise to
む。
avoid
何に
any
する？
unnecessary
さて
risks.
さ
Do you
て。
understand me?
何の御用か
Of
な？
course, Father. I'll be back.
取引成立じゃ
Ladies and gentlemen,
ん。なん
so
ぞ？
we're watching.
銭を貯めたらまた
Divide
来る
and
のだぞ。
conquer coming up.
あ、
We'll be
ま
good.
た来たな。
I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!
朝までお休みだね。
For sure.
決まったらここへしてね。